Hello and welcome back to the Wine Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Heather Danitz, and today I am joined by Warner Bowen. Hi, Warner.
Wow, thanks so much for
So
having
excited to
me.
have you. So Warner is a certified sommelier and the founder of Confidence Uncorked. She is dedicated to transforming wine education into a fun and approachable experience. She's a native Texan who now calls California wine country home. We're very excited to have her here. And she's on the mission to help everyone enjoy wine without judgment, regardless of their knowledge or budget. So I'm so glad to have you here. Thanks for coming.
Yes, thank you so much. This is going to be a blast.
Yes, it's gonna be so great. So you and we've never actually met in person, but we've
No, we
had lots of,
did.
yeah, is that so wild?
Yeah, no,
Wait,
we did
did
meet.
we did meet? When did,
At
okay.
the DTC
Oh, you're right.
symposium.
We did meet at the
Yeah,
DT. Oh my
yes,
gosh. Okay.
yes.
That's right. I don't know why
But
I
we've
was like,
been connected before,
yeah, our
like,
digital,
for years. Yeah.
yeah. We've been digital buddies for a little while, but
Yeah.
oh my gosh, my brain just completely lost that information.
Totally. That was like a wild whirlwind of a weekend too. There was like so many
Yeah.
people. So totally understand.
Yeah. DTC Symposium is always so much fun because you get all these amazing people in the room. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, I read somewhere that there's something called like joy amnesia where apparently a lot of Swifties who will they'll go to like a Taylor Swift concert and they'll have so much fun, and then they'll come home and they'll just like completely forget that they even went. They're like, I have all these videos from this amazing concert that I went to, and I cannot remember a single detail of it.
Okay, I can relate to that because I am a Swiftie and I went to the Eras tour and I literally remember so much of it because of my video.
Yes, yeah.
And Thomas would be like, remember when she did this thing? And I was like, no.
No, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So funny.
So I'm like, maybe I had joy amnesia from being at DTC
Yes.
Symposium.
So much
So
joy.
it's just like this big party with all my friends. It's great.
Funny.
Well, so today we're going to be talking about wine communication, education, and all of that, and your role in it.
The things.
So you have built this amazing brand that is all about making wine feel fun.
Mm-hmm.
But what I really, really like about what you've done is like you've made wine fun and inclusive and easy to understand, but you do it in a way that's like not infantilizing or like dumbing it down for the newbies. Because I find that a lot of communication in the wine industry is either very gatekeepy, where they're just like, you're kind of overwhelming people with information.
Yeah, using like verbiage that nobody understands.
Yeah, exactly. Or like you're talking to new people with like the most simple language that just feels very infantilizing. It doesn't feel like you're actually inviting them to grow and to get interested and get curious.
Right.
And so I really, really love that. I love that you do that because you really do seem to like lift people up and invite them to learn more when they're ready, which is really great. So my question is like, how do you balance that? Like, how do you walk that line? Because I feel like it is a very fine line.
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. I feel like internally, I'm always trying to walk that line because I felt so intimidated by wine for so long. Felt like so many people were gatekeeping it. I felt like the barrier to entry was so high that I felt really insecure about it for a really long time. And I hated that feeling. And I was like, how do I help people not feel that way? And it kind of just came naturally when I first started leading wine tastings. Like, this was like 9 years ago when I was first working in wine. I just was like doing it the way that I wish someone would have done for me, which was like, and it was kind of like the more that I learned about wine, the more that I learned that it wasn't as complicated as we make it out to be. And it was just kind of like me putting those pieces together myself of like, any question, like please ask any question. There's no such thing as a dumb question. And like figuring out analogies and how to connect things in ways that people actually understand rather than just like going down a rabbit hole. Like you can tell when you're talking to them about wine and their eyes glaze over. And it's like, how do I connect this to something that they might understand? Or like if they're not understanding it, I want them to tell me that. Let's reshift things a little bit. So kind of a long-winded answer. There's still times where I definitely get overwhelmed by my lack of knowledge because in the world of wine, like you're never going to know everything.
Yeah.
And it's really easy. Like the more ingrained I get in this community and in the industry, the more I'm connected with like really knowledgeable people about wine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know so little in comparison. But I think it's really a matter of like just trying to stay true to myself, what I know and the people I'm trying to serve. I can't serve everybody. But I think that's an important part of like having a niche, understanding who your audience is, and kind of like putting on your blinders and canceling out all the other noise and distractions.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's such a good point because I've found, doing what I do is it is very niche. Wine marketing
Mhm,
and wine photography is very niche.
mhm,
And I found that when I was trying to talk to people maybe outside of wine or like trying to talk to like the bigger wineries when really I just wanted to work with like smaller wineries, I found that I wasn't as effective at communicating
mhm.
as when I like was really honed in on the specific person that I really wanted to reach and talk to and help.
Yes,
So
that's
that's
so
such a great
important.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have learned so much about myself, like, over the past year or so, like, really going into this all in, but there was a period where I was, like, looking around at what other people were doing and how they were communicating and almost trying to emulate them, and it just didn't feel authentic, and I was just trying to serve everybody, and I was like, "Okay, hold on a second. Back up, reel it in, like, what's the thing that, like, you are, specifically, inherently what's your gift?" Like, you can't be everything to everybody. So I think that's super important and like a lesson that we just kind of have to learn, but it helps give you like a lot of clarity and direction.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, and I do also I really like that whenever I watch your posts, like your TikToks and your reels,
Mhm.
and just like read your posts and things like that, I realize I notice that you're never like posturing. Like, it really feels like it comes from this authentic place of like I'm still learning and here's like I'm really nerdy about this and I want to like share my nerdiness with you and it's really fucking refreshing. Cuz I mean this so much too. It's like there's just so much posturing that happens in the wine industry where we're always just like trying to like prove ourselves for some
Yeah,
reason. And I'm just
yeah,
like, dude, like, let's just be passionate about the things we're passionate about
totally.
and communicate that, like, communicate our passions because that's what
Yes.
people really care about. Uh,
Exactly, and I it's so true, like, passion and energy is contagious, and if you can share that, it's so clear if someone's talking to you about, like, their accolades and about soil type and stuff, like, where is the connection piece there? Where is the energy? Where is the anything? Feels like you're just, like, reading off a memorized script, and it's just clear when you just get, like, excited and jazzed up about something. I know nothing about photography, but even, like, hearing you talk about it or the, like, marketing experience and knowledge that you have, like, even though I remember, like, when I first got connected with you, like, years ago, I'd be like, "This I don't know very much about, or this is over my head," but just hearing you get so excited about, like, "Okay, there's a new update with Instagram," I'd be like, "Cool, okay, let's learn about it," because it's like it's just contagious, and I think that's so helpful, is just figuring out, like, what you're passionate about, sharing that with people. I think the thing that I really learned is, like, just not to get caught up in the weeds of wine. That is, like, a
yeah.
clear thing that I saw that everybody was not everybody. A lot of people were doing wrong. And it's
Mhm.
like when you go over people's heads, you lost them, right? So like how do you come
Yeah.
down to their level, meet people where they are, wherever that is, and then invite them to ask more questions. But if you start up here, you like the door shut and they're never going to
Yeah.
knock on it. But
Yeah.
like I just laugh when people talk about like I'm at a wine tasting and like I'm with friends that aren't in the industry, don't know a lot about wine, and they start telling us about the clones. And I'm like, really? Why? Who does that serve?
Like, read the room. Yeah.
Yeah, like, let us ask. I don't know, if somebody understands what clones are and then they can ask, sure, but, like, even me, who's someone that knows a lot about wine, clones don't mean much to me at all. I'm just like, "Does the wine
Mhm.
taste good? Is there a fascinating story? Is there, like, this cool connecting piece and passion around it?" Then, like, yes, I'm sold.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel like clones are really only interesting, I would say, to farmers.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
totally.
because like I talked to Billy Wathen at Foxton. I used to work in for a vineyard management
Yeah.
company, and like one of the things that I would do is I would like talk to our buyers, our wine buyers, and then they were really interested. They're like, hey, like this block over here has this clone of Pinot Noir, but this block over here has this clone of Pinot Noir, and like what like which one do you think would be better for us and like all
Mm.
this stuff and like this is the farming style that we want and like well like the farming if you're like thinking about the farming style that you want in your particular block that you're getting then you're probably going to want this clone because of
Yeah,
reasons
yeah.
and so like yeah but that was like literally the only time I would have conversations about clones was when I was talking to wine buyers or
Funny, yeah.
to grape buyers because
When
they're
it
like
actually
they're the
matters,
only
yeah.
like farmers and grape buyers are the only ones who give a shit.
Exactly,
um
exactly.
and it's like, like winemakers know, like, like the nuances of like the Dijon clones and like the Pomard and whatever. Like they know the nuances that they're trying to get out of a particular wine, like they're like, oh, this one's a little bit more fruit forward or this one's a little bit more rustic or
Right,
whatever.
right.
But like like regular, the plebs, we
Yeah.
don't really care about that when we're
No,
tasting wine. Yeah, it's like,
exactly.
does it taste good and does it not? And like, yeah, maybe there's like a handful of wine tasters who want to get really into the weeds with that,
Yeah.
but it's also recognizing like when those people are there and receptive to that. So
Totally.
yeah,
Really
yeah.
agree.
Well, that actually leads really perfectly into my next question, which is like, what are the most common mistakes that you see people making when they're trying to like simplify wine for beginners, or when they're trying to like maybe even like help beginners kind of move to the next level?
It's so important to ask questions and to ask, who are we to know like what our audience needs, what our customers need, or what people need? Like, if we're just assuming that, then that's not really serving us. Like, what's really helped me a lot is I strongly believe like if you're willing to ask people their opinions, they'll tell you. It's just a matter like, are you willing to listen? Whenever like I'm doing a wine tasting with somebody, I always ask them so many questions. And like, that's something that I like get a little sad if I go to wine tasting and I like don't get the opportunity to connect with the host. Like, they just have a script and they tell me about the wine and then they pour it and they walk away. And I'm like, oh, there's so much like beauty and joy. And I'm getting a little sidetracked, but like, even if the wine is like mediocre, but like the experience there with the host is like amazing, or whoever I'm buying the wine from, whether you're like at a grocery store or a wine shop or whatever, like that's so important. It's a matter of like the other person understanding what my needs are, listening to me, asking me questions, and then being able to like serve me that way. So I think not being willing to ask questions and thinking you have all the answers and you think you know what the other person needs, that's really huge. And I just think being authentic, like we were talking about, like the thing that you're passionate about, like exuding that's just, it's contagious and it just brings people along. It feels inviting. It feels exciting. It makes other people want to like learn more about wine too. And I think really meeting people where they are. For a long time, like my beginning in wine was in like small production. And I learned from the very beginning that like mass production wine and conglomerates are horrible and they're just pumping the wine with chemicals. And you should never buy wine from the grocery store because that's where all those wines live, yada, yada. And so I was like, cool, okay, we only should buy small production wine and we should only shop at like very small wine shops. Okay, well, that's 1% to 2% of the population that actually shop that way. And if you
Yeah.
hammer that into people and you tell them they're doing wine wrong, that is like the biggest no-no that I've learned. Meet people where they are. If majority of people are shopping for wine at a grocery store, cool. What can you recommend for them that like, of course there's always going to be wines that like we can all enjoy at the grocery store. There's a lot of amazing things there. Meet people where they are and then invite them if they want to take the next step. Like, if you like this wine, you might like this. And if you're willing to spend like $5 more, here's why I think this wine might be so much better. But ultimately, if it tastes good to you, if it makes you feel good, if you're happy, if it's in your budget, like, you do you. I feel like that was a really
Yeah.
long-winded answer, but I'm very passionate about this kind of stuff of
Yeah.
just like, you just have to meet people where they are and then you can bring them along. But if you shut them down immediately, like you've lost them. And then they're going to
Yeah.
go buy like a high noon or a beer instead because it's less intimidating.
Yeah, that was something that I've been really learning. I haven't really poured behind the bar for a really long time, but
Mhm.
over the summer I went to the Blood of God's merrymaking. I was there. The person who was supposed to pour for Foxen wasn't able to come, and so I was like, oh, I'll do it. I used to work for Foxen, so I like I know the
Yeah.
stories and all that. And so it was an easy thing for me to do. I was pouring, and they had this one wine. It was their carbonic maceration Cabernet Franc, and was really interesting about Blood of Gods is that they had kind of a nice healthy mix of like people who are really into wine and then
Mhm.
people who are like more into metal music, and so
Mm.
that's why they were there. And so it was really cool to like see these two groups of people kind of interacting. But with the carbonic maceration in particular, like that's kind of like even some people who are like a little bit more advanced in their wine journey, some of them don't even know what that means. Like, what does
Yeah.
that mean to them? And something I found really worked when like I would start talking about it because I really like it. I think this is like a really cool wine style.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'd start going, and then I would like pause and I'd be like, wait, like how like
Yeah.
do you just want
Do
to
you want to
sit with
go
this
there?
and sip it? Yeah, but like, or like, do you want to like really learn about it? Because like I can go either way, like and it was really cool because most of the time people were like, yeah, tell like what is this? Like why does it taste like this? Like I've had
I love
Cabernet
that.
Franc before, but this tastes different, and and so then they sort of like invited me to expand on and all
That's
that, and I learned to sort of like check in with them and be like, how are we doing? Is this too much? Am I overwhelming you?
totally. That's huge
Yeah,
because then if it feels like you're just talking at them, sometimes you can tell when someone's brain is turned off, they're not, like, absorbing the information, but if you are willing to meet them where they are and invite them in and, like, they're curious, like, okay, now they're listening, now they're like, "Cool, tell me more about this." They feel really seen. I love that you asked that. I think that's huge.
Yeah, and it's not something that I used to do,
Mhm.
but it's certainly something that, like, I'm now trying to, like, get people to do is because of exactly what you're saying is, like, we
Mhm.
need to, like, read the room, we need to, like, meet people where they are
Yeah.
and not, like, overwhelm them so much that they just shut down and they're like, "Well, this is too complicated.
Yes.
I'm gonna go drink something that's uncomplicated." You
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
and, like, everybody like, there's so much to know about wine. It's so fascinating. We could all go on forever about wine, right? But, like,
Mhm.
our attention spans are so much shorter now, and that's the thing that I feel like I really have honed in on is, like, what are the 3 bullet points about this wine that, like, someone needs to take home with them and or process, or what's gonna be the thing that, like, convinces them to try this? Like, we don't have to go down about the history of this region and, like, the all the, like, barrel aging regimen and stuff. It's like, how do we just really consolidate that? And then, again, that opens up the door to something else. But, like, there's been so many times where I've been around people that are super knowledgeable, that are, like, amazing, I look up to them. Someone asks them a question, and I'm like, "Oh god, buckle up." Like, we're listening to them answer this for 10 minutes, and I'm like, maybe that's just a little bit of media training, I don't know. But it's a matter of, like, thinking about the other person, thinking about their attention span, and what's the most important thing here.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I love that. Well, okay, so then that also leads me into my next
Perfect.
question so
Promise
perfectly. The
this isn't
segues are
rehearsed.
great. So if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about how wine is talked about, communicated about, in tasting rooms or in marketing materials or, out in the marketplace,
Mhm.
what would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I don't take myself or wine very seriously, which can be a good and a bad thing sometimes, but I wish that we just stopped taking it so seriously. I want wine to be so much more fun. Like,
Mhm.
why does it have to be such a serious thing all the time? And, like, for me, I get so excited about the unique experiences, right? Like, I went to, are you familiar with, like, Martha Stewman wines?
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
she just opened a tasting room in Healdsburg, and there's nothing, like, flashy or showy about it. Like, the interior design is beautiful. There's no vineyards. Like, it's not like, Restoration Hardware. Furniture is in there. But it was just the relaxing environment. It was a couple things. It was like they have their tasting room open later until like 8 p.m. So it just like encouraged people to like slow down, relax. Like a lot of wineries close at like 5.
Yeah.
They brought out just like popcorn with nutritional yeast if you wanted it. And then they brought out a viewfinder when they were talking about a couple of the different wines. And
Mhm.
like those things from the 90s, like the big red viewfinders, you like
Yeah.
go like that and it
Yeah.
circulates photos. Oh my God, they're talking about this wine. And like then you get to see pictures of like the vineyard and them like foot stomping it and then pictures of them tasting it. And it just like was seared into my brain of like, how fun, like not taking it
Yeah.
too seriously, not waxing poetic about like their scores, but how do we I don't know. We really just have to be pivoting a lot more now and like
Yeah.
what was working before isn't working nowadays. I also like I think maybe I've just had so many like fancy meals in my life, which like first world problems. That stuff doesn't align with me anymore. Like if
Yeah.
you were obviously it's amazing to showcase like what culinary people like chefs are able to do and like how that accentuates the wine, great, but like who is going home and cooking like seared duck every night, right? Like
Right.
how can we make this a little bit more approachable? You show me that your amazing cabernet can actually pair with like homemade pizza or something that's a little
Mhm.
bit more relatable. That actually makes the wine shine a little bit more when the food isn't as serious. But I'm getting really excited about fun things like like breweries are so fun and inviting, like can we bring that energy into wine?
Mhm.
I'm super
Yeah.
long-winded, sorry, but yeah,
No,
that's
no,
what
you
I would
can
want more
be
of.
yeah, you can be as long-winded as you want here. We
Yeah,
love it. This is this is the show for yappers for sure.
there we go,
Um,
perfect.
it's yeah, and I think you're exactly right. Like, I think trying to place your wine in, like, real world scenarios and not these like, yes, there's a time and a place for, like, the special occasions and communicating about those special occasions,
Mhm,
but, like, really, really thinking about what are your customers doing when they bring this bottle home? Like,
totally,
how are they actually enjoying it? Like,
yeah,
are they sipping it out of the Zalto? Like, Probably not. They're
Yeah.
probably, they probably got like a cheap, like real thick glass
Yeah.
of wine, or like glass that they got from like a tasting that they went to 20 years ago.
Totally. Sitting on their back porch, like, they're not sitting there waxing poetic about the wine, they're, like, enjoying it with good company and whatever, they're not, like, making it their sole focus and attention, but, yeah, when wineries do that, it conveys to people, you can only open and enjoy this on a special occasion, so therefore people drink less wine too because they're like, "Well, I have to save this, I have to hold on to this. It's not special enough, I guess I'll just, like, crack a Cutwater or, like, whatever else because I have to save my wine." And it's like, no, we have to communicate that, like, it can be a part of your everyday. I mean, you think about it, like, obviously moderation. You don't have to be drinking wine every single day, but
Yeah.
think about, like, Europe and how ingrained wine is into their society. And, like, I was so fascinated. The first time I went to Italy, I was doing a tasting in Chianti Classico, and they were, like, walking us through the portfolio, and they're like, "Okay, now this is, like, our highest end wine, and this is 45 euros." And I was like, "What do you mean this is your highest end wine?"
Adorable.
And I was like, "Why aren't you charging more for this?" And they're like, Italians would not pay for this. Like,
Yeah.
wine is not supposed to be astronomically expensive. It's supposed to be, like, affordable and approachable. Also, there's a myriad of reasons why, like, it's more affordable in Europe than it is here, like, in California or Napa. But I digress. That was just such a, like, I don't know, fascinating moment for me. That was like, yeah, it doesn't have to be as, like, crazy expensive and
Yeah.
unapproachable as we make it out to be.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel like if like the old world is not making it pretentious and they're really trying to like make it as accessible as possible because they have to, because they're like, this is our culture, this is part of
Mhm.
who we are as people. Like wine like is basically, the national mascot of many of these countries.
Totally.
It's like, why, like, it's working over there, so why is there such a block here in the United States
Yeah.
for that?
Because
It's
we're all just
very
copying
interesting.
each other, I think. We've
Yeah.
seen, like, what certain wineries, like, what their success looks like. I'm like, "Okay, I guess we have to emulate that," and it's like, when everybody's the same, then it's like, okay, then no one stands out. Yeah, you just dig yourself in a hole. I think something else that I would love to see too is just, like, I am such a huge proponent of, like, alternative packaging wine and just,
Yes.
like, it being more progressive and, like, okay, we need like, I think the 750 milliliter bottle is so outdated. I am someone that, like, I'm surrounded by wine all the time. I'm not really drinking wine very much at home because, like, yeah, I have a Corvin. I don't want to open up a whole bottle because I feel obligated to drink that whole thing within the next couple of days. And, like, I used to work for Maker, as you know, like, canned
Mhm.
wine, single serving. I still love and, like, reach for those all the time. I'm a big fan of, like, wine in a box. I think so
Yes.
many wineries are really scared of this because of the, like, association that, like, canned wine and box wines had for so long, but it's like, cool, then flip the script. Like, there's a couple wineries that are doubling down on it, and as you know, Hubbles Creek and Bedrock, and they are, like,
Mhm.
selling out of it because there's a need for it.
Yeah,
It
'cause
makes
people
so much
want it.
sense.
Yeah.
Exactly, and it's, like,
Yeah.
actually meeting people where they are. Like, a 750 milliliter bottle, sure, there's a time and place for that in a formal, fancy setting, but, like, if you want people to drink wine more often, like, that's not how it's gonna be done.
Like, give them what they want.
Exactly,
Give the people
exactly.
what they want.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I totally, totally agree because, yeah, like, in my household, I'm the only one that drinks wi when I'm not pregnant, I'm the
yeah.
only one that drinks wine.
Yeah,
And, my husband's a beer drinker. Even though he works for a winery,
yeah.
he drinks beer. He's not reaching for wine. And so I'm the only one. And like, it's really tough to, again, like, this is like first world problems. Like, it's so hard that I can only open a bottle of wine. But like, it's like I open up this 750 milliliter bottle of wine and then I'm like, okay, well, this is what I'm drinking for the next like 3 days.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't have a Corvin. And I
Corbin,
just,
hello, we need to get you in on
I
that.
know, right? Yes, Corbin, please sponsor
Yeah.
me.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just it's wild, yeah. And so like, yeah, so whenever like, especially when we're seeing like these premium wine brands like Bedrock, like Tubbs Creek,
Mhm,
creating these like alternative packaging wines, and Maker, I was so stoked that Maker, working with these small independent wine brands
mhm,
like Camines to Dreams,
mhm.
and they're putting these like really delicious wines in this like teeny perfect package that I
Yeah,
can just like crack one open, and if I want variety I can have variety
totally.
that evening, so I can
Yeah,
have like some like Albarino from Coming Streams, or I can
yeah,
have and then after that I can like have some like Zinfandel or whatever, like whatever I
totally.
feel like. And
Yes.
it's great for folks who like, I just want to open up something nice. Something I'm also seeing a lot of is subscription models being a really great way to get wine into people's homes for like the everyday drinking. Maggie Tillman with Alta Colina, she said that her goal is to make sure that everybody has access to great wine that they can drink during the week,
I
like
love
on
that.
a weekday. And
Yeah.
I was just like, what a perfect goal to have
Mhm.
for your
Mhm.
business is like, yes, you have your higher end, like more premium wines that are maybe reserved for the special occasions, or maybe, like we like open them on a weekend versus on like a Tuesday. But
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
have your like crushable wines that are really easy drinking, and they're like great for after work. They're great for like the takeout that you're getting because you're too
Absolutely.
tired to cook. Like
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, I love it.
Absolutely. Have you ever heard of a Me, the boxed
No,
wine?
I haven't.
Okay, so the head winemaker, Ross Dawkins, he used to work for Paulmeyer, like super high-end cult wine. And I'm so fascinated talking with him. Also, he's from Australia and just like such a fun accent. I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
could listen to you talk all day.
We should like lay my head in your lap and
Yeah,
speak words
exactly.
into to my ears.
So he was telling, I was like, tell me more. So he like made this box wine. It's wine from France, and they don't even put a like varietal on the label. They just say like Rouge, Blanc, and like there's pink wine and an orange wine. And they don't ever tell you what, if you want to look online and find out like what the varietal breakdown is, sure. But they're like, we just make wine too complicated. A lot of people know like they like red, they like white. You go to like any event, they're literally like, give me the white, give me the red.
Yeah.
Don't really know the difference between a Chardonnay and a Sauvignon Blanc, and like
Right.
that's okay if that's where people are right now, like that's fine. But
Mhm.
basically he was saying like I was making wine for like super high-end cult consumers, and I realized like that's not really what I want to be doing. Like this only serves a very small portion of the population. And again, they're only drinking this on really special occasions. So he was like, how can I flip the script on this and make a wine that like, he's like, I'm not trying to make the best wine in the world, but how can I make a wine that's like delicious, that is like made with good intention, that's like sustainable, that is like taking care of the earth and serving the people that are farming it, whatnot, and put in an approachable manner. So it's 2 bottles of wine in each box. I want to say it's like $25 a box. So it's like $12 a bottle, basically.
Mhm.
And the wine is delicious. Like it's well made, but it's not like it doesn't have to be the center of attention. He's like not trying for it to be. And I love that. And there's a restaurant up here in Healdsburg called Little Saint,
Mhm.
and they're awesome, like phenomenal program. But their wine, their house wine, is all a Me box wine. So you can order a red, a
Cool.
white, a rosé, or an orange. And I just am obsessed with the fact that they like took this on with open arms, and consumers are so excited about it because it's one of those things, just like maker wine. When you try like a good wine, it doesn't matter what vessel it came in. And when you
Yeah.
learn that it came from a different vessel, you're like, anything's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. Totally. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
so on board for that. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I do want to kind of get into a little bit more of like kind of how you've sort of cultivated like a really great community. Like I feel like your audience really, really trusts you, and that's
Thank
great. So
you.
what do you think has helped build that trust with you?
Yeah, I am so intentional about what I talk about. One of the things I think that has helped build trust, like the most tangible thing, is that I say no to a lot of like partnership opportunities. Like if I would not drink this myself, encourage people to drink it myself, like I don't care how much money they're willing to pay me, like I say no to more things than I say yes to. And
Mhm.
I don't want to be like a walking ad. And it feels really important for me to provide like value and to really think about like who I'm serving and how can I lift people up. And I think it's really easy to go down like the ego side of like social media and focus on like I have an audience and this, that, and the other. But it's like something that I, talk to wineries and clients and other like businesses about is like when you're creating content, you probably do the same. Like, what is the purpose of this content? Like, are you
Yep.
providing value? Is this educational? Is this entertainment? Like, and I think really focusing on that rather than like, I don't know. I just see people like, and this is just a random example. It might not be the best one, but like a lot of people jump online and they're like, okay, get ready with me or like spend a day in life with me. And I'm like, well, nobody knows who you are. Like,
Yeah.
who does that serve?
Why
Like,
should
that's
I
just
care? Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Like, are you teaching me something throughout that process? Like, so I think that's really important for anybody trying to cultivate community. And like, I think you do such a great job of that too. Like, you,
Thank you.
oh my gosh, give so much value out there. It blows my mind that you don't have like a million followers all the time because I just feel like I always learn so much from you.
Thank
And
you.
follower count doesn't matter, obviously. But yeah, I think I listen. Oh my gosh, I listen to people so much too. That's another thing. I spend so much time in my DMs. I've had like a couple mentors in this area that have like much bigger following than me that were like, get out of your DMs. That's just draining your time and you can focus on other things and making more money. But I'm like, but again, that's me being able to connect with my people and understand what they want. And they ask me questions and that like guides the content that I create. And I'm like, I want to know what people want to know from me. And I think a lot of times if you're willing to answer people's questions, if you're willing to give them valuable information, people sometimes will reach out and say like, hey, I'm going to like this wine region. Like, do you have it? Someone the other day was just like, hey, what wineries in Texas do you recommend? And I, of course, could like put all of those answers like behind a paywall and be like, here you go, give me like X amount of dollars and I'll give it to you. But if you actually help them out, give them value, they're more inclined to trust you. And then like later on, when you do offer something that's like paid, they're like, yes, happy to support you. So I
Yeah.
think those are all a couple important things in building trust.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, I've never lost money by giving away things for free. Which I know sounds like so counterintuitive,
But
but
it comes back to
it
you.
comes back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do want to really I really want to emphasize the fact that you are in your DMs, like talking to people and having conversations, because I think that it makes me really, really sad how normalized it is for people to just not respond to their
Coast to coast.
DMs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
even like not even responding to their comments.
Yeah. It's
Which is
weird.
like just literally the most low-hanging fruit
It is.
thing that you can do. And it's like even if you're like on average getting hundreds of comments, on every single post, you can still respond to like some of them. And
Totally.
you like go through and like spend like fucking 5 minutes
Yeah.
just scrolling
Yeah.
through your comments and like responding to the ones that are asking questions or like,
Exactly.
making an effort, because like
Yeah.
I had somebody who DM'd me, and like I have like 4,000 followers. So like it's not a lot. And so like it's much more manageable for me. I recognize this.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the wineries that I'm working with, they don't have very many.
Yeah.
Maybe they have 10,000 followers,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But like it's whatever. But I had
Very
somebody who
manageable.
like
Yeah.
reached out to me, and I can't remember what their question was, but then I responded to them, and I responded to them like pretty quickly because I just like happened to be
Yeah.
on my phone when they messaged me. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't think that you would actually respond to me."
Yeah.
And I was like, that makes me so sad that
Yeah.
like it's so normalized that people just are not like they're not using social media socially. And it's like,
Totally.
what's the fucking
Missing the
point? Like,
point.
yeah, like if you don't want to be social on social media,
Yeah.
then you just shouldn't be
Oof.
there. Like it just
Yes, I completely agree. And people say that to me all the time too. They're like, I can't believe you responded. And I'm like, then what am I doing here? Like, why
yeah,
wouldn't
like
I? It's so crazy.
exactly. Like
I get so
I'm here
stressed
to
out if like I don't respond to people. I'm like, oh, you're taking time out of your day. You're trusting me with a question that you have. Like, why wouldn't I answer? And like, yes, of course you can't answer every single one of them, but
Mhm.
like you can still put in the effort. I mean, like brings
Yeah.
me joy to like that's what we're put on earth to do is to serve other people. So like if you again, like you're just using social media to like post and boost your own ego or be like, that's the issue. Oh my God, we could just go on a tangent about like what wineries are doing wrong with social media,
Mhm.
which is like me, 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 me. Come to my winery. Here's our beautiful vineyard. Here's the scores that we got. And it's like, how does that serve anybody? Like, how does that benefit and give value to anybody
Yeah.
else? It doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you've got to be answering the question like what's in it for the people who's reading this, because like if you are just, again, like we talked about posturing, like if you're just like putting stuff out there because you're like, "Oh, we
Yeah.
need to sell wine." You're not going to sell wine by just doing that. Like you will sell wine if you are answering questions and building connections,
Yeah,
and like,
absolutely.
because people are more likely to buy from businesses and from individuals who are taking the time to like get to know them and understand their problems, and
Yeah,
and care about them and like build a
exactly.
community.
I'm
Yeah.
way more likely to like buy and support from somebody that I feel like I connect with, our values align. Like people don't just buy from brands, they buy from like connection, a sense of feeling and
Mhm.
belongingness. And it's, yeah, like that again, that energy is just contagious. And that's the most important thing. I think that all of us that really care a lot about small producers, like you can feel that thread of passion
Mhm.
through the person, through the wines. Like that means so much more to me than any score you could ever get.
Yeah. Agreed.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Claps all around. I love it. So what role does transparency play in how you're showing up online?
That's such a good question. I have found that vulnerability and transparency has propelled me further than any kind of like skill or experience I've ever had in life. And I used to believe the opposite, that like I need to work so hard and I need to like have this title under my belt or this role. And it's like, no, if you are transparent and honest, like that's how you really build trust. That's how you build connections. And that opens so many doors too if you're just like honest. I think I think I like definitely have been guilty of like, we were talking about this earlier, like trying to look at what other people are doing and emulate them, and like that didn't feel like honest and truthful to myself, of just trying to like, that is really like serving the ego a lot of times. But if you're able to be transparent, if you're willing to meet people where you are, if you're willing to be like, hey, I don't actually know everything about wine, that feels so much more freeing than like pretending you're an expert and being like, I know all the things, because nobody does. And I think like that just helps level set things and makes you feel more human and ultimately like more relatable.
Mhm.
I think that's really important. Like people want to feel like they can trust you, whether you're just a human or a business or whatever. Like, that's becoming so much more important in, today's age than ever before.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think authenticity, I know like authenticity is such a loaded word, and it's so misused all of the time, but like
Yeah.
being authentic is really so so important.
Yeah.
And yeah, and if you're not, kind of putting yourself out there a little bit, then like why would
Yeah.
people like put themselves, I don't know. Yeah.
Totally. And it can be really scary to be authentic. Like there's so many times
Mhm.
that I've just like felt a calling to like share something that feels super scary because it might upset people, but it like if it feels authentic to you, like there's a reason you're supposed to share that. I don't know. Like there's been times where like I've just been so overwhelmed and like going through it, and I will like record a video and I'll just like cry during it. And I've posted that because I've been like, you know what? Somebody needs to see this. Somebody needs to know that like I'm not perfect. I don't have it all figured out. And I think that helps other people feel like permission to also be authentic and transparent and vulnerable, because we need so much more of that, more than ever. Like
Yeah.
we're so disconnected. And gosh, with wine too, I just want more vulnerability. I think we only hear about, when you think about like a winemaker, you think about wine, like you think about perfection, you think about like all of these things working out perfectly, when like anybody that works in wine knows that like it's a shit show. And like you can plan for something, but like 80% of it's not going to go according to plan. And you're going to have to pivot all the time. And it's just a matter of like rolling with the punches and failing and getting back up and trying again. And then something like beautiful comes out of that. And that's not communicated enough, like
Yeah.
ever. And I
Yeah.
want more of that. That gets me excited.
Mhm. I totally agree. It's really like I mean, I think about like weather in general, like
Mm-hmm.
if wine is an agricultural product and we cannot control the weather, especially with like climate change being what it is,
Mm-hmm.
we're getting these like really extreme weather events that are happening that are completely throwing
Yeah.
everything out of whack.
Yeah.
And I find it really disingenuous when wineries sort of gloss over those challenges.
Totally.
They don't show that like they had to drop half their fruit because
Yeah.
of like mildew.
Totally.
Because like even though they were doing everything that they could to like mitigate that risk, a rainstorm came through, in the middle of harvest, and then like half their fruit just got like destroyed, and but I do find it really refreshing when I see wineries who are like, well, that sucked, but here's what we're getting from the grapes that are left on the vine. And
Yeah.
they look really good. And this is just vintage, it just taking it back to like vintage characteristics. And
Yes.
that's such a, I don't know, it's I really love when wineries talk about what was happening weather-wise and like the challenges and things like that. And then the things that they're excited about too, about like a particular vintage. They're like, wow, like we actually got like lots of sleep this vintage because because it was like a really like leisurely vintage.
I couldn't agree more. That is like
Yeah.
connecting it on a more human level. And
Mhm.
you don't hear about those things. You only hear people wax poetic about like how amazing this vintage was. And it's like up here in like Sonoma, Napa, 2022 was like so freaking hot. And
Mhm.
you don't ever hear people talk about that. And I remember like, even going over like when a lot of the 2020, well, if people were releasing like a 2020 red, I was reading the like tech sheet and I'm like, we're not going to talk about the fact that there were just like fires ravaging California. Like, what do you mean? You're just going to talk about how like they just lie, like pretty much just lie. Like you just find a couple little things where like it was a seasonably warm summer, but then we were hit by a cold period in November. I'm like, after all the fires hit, like,
Yeah, you
what are you
mean
talking about? Like you can, if you're honest, if you're talking about like how, oh my God, I want a winery to tell me like we lost half of our fruit. Like, this is a
Mhm.
hard year for us, but like we doubled down on what we were able to. We salvaged it. We're really proud of ourselves. Like this has been a challenge. Amazing. I'm going to support you. I'm going to buy
Yeah.
bottles just because of that, because I
Yes.
connect with you on a human level. There was a winery, like experience was so ingrained in me of the importance of vulnerability. During COVID, I was scrolling through and there was this winery that came on my feed that I'd never heard of before. And they were in Colorado and they were talking about like how they were two sommeliers that left everything, that they bought a plot of land and they decided to open a winery. And then COVID hit and they were like, we're going to be honest, like you're struggling right now. And here's all the money we invested and here's like the debt that we're in, and like this is not a sob story, but like this is just the truth of it, and we're still gonna find a way to get through it, but we're just being honest. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh, man, that sucks, that's hard. And I scrolled past and then something in me was like, no, go back. And I was like, you know what, I can easily spend like $80 on buying, a couple bottles from them and supporting them, like just because I was so appreciative of their vulnerability. And I was like, I've never tried a Colorado wine before. Like, there's all these reasons why it was like so easy to scroll past. I was like, no, let me give them a chance. And I remember they like wrote this really heartfelt like thank you message. And they were like, I don't even know how you found us, but like, thank you. Your support means the world. And I just felt like such a bond to them. And the
Yeah.
winery is called Storm Cellar, and I'm like obsessed with them. I love everything that they do. They've done such a wonderful job of just like storytelling, and they show the hardships and they show the wins. I just respect the hell out of them for sharing the hardships. It makes people feel like they're a part of the process.
Yes.
And when they win, then like we win because we got to see it and we're cheering them on, and like just gives you a better view of it. And there was one other thing that they did that I loved. I got this like rosé from them that was like rosé of Chambourcin, which was like a new to me grape, but it was
Mhm.
like dark magenta. And I was like, whoa, is this like from the Saunier method? Like, how did this come to be? And they were telling me like, no, this issue happened where basically like the grapes got trapped in the tank and they became super pressurized. And that just like made like the grapes got stuck in there basically and had like extended maceration. We did not plan for this, but that's why it has this really dark color. And we were
Yeah.
like, well, we can't afford to just like waste this. Did not
Yeah.
go according to plan. And I was like, amazing. I'm obsessed with this wine even more. How cool. Like, thank you for telling me that. Not just like, oh, we did 20 hours of extended maceration.
We totally meant to do this.
No,
Yeah.
tell me
It's
like
like,
what
no, we fucked up
happened.
somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where like the beauty comes from of like, oops, made a mistake,
Yeah.
but like what a delicious mistake that was. Cool. I
Yeah.
love it. Do it again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do it again. Exactly. I mean, yeah. Like, I think people are so afraid to fail,
Mhm.
and I had this conversation with Ed Fuchek of Tank Garage
Mm.
in the last episode where it's like you gotta like fuck around a little bit, like you gotta like
Mhm.
fuck around and find out, and I think that so many wineries are and rightly so, because like you literally, like, wineries, we have one shot every year to like get it right, but I'm also like, you gotta have a little bit of room for play and a little bit of room
Yeah.
to just like see what happens, and then like if you do have something like that where that happens, where like something goes wrong or like whatever, or it didn't go the way that you thought it was going to go, like then how can you salvage that situation and like turn it into this like story that
Totally.
that people will tell about, like you can literally give your customers the words
Yes.
to tell the story for you, so
Yeah.
that like you just told me this story. They're like, oh well, like the grapes got trapped in this tank, and like
Yeah.
so they did this extended maceration. They didn't mean to do the extended maceration, and now they have this like really deep inky wine
Yes.
that was supposed to be this like kind of like light pale whatever rosé, and so now I can go and like buy that wine, and then like I can tell that story to the
100%.
next person and the next person, the next person, and it's just like this trickle effect of
Yes.
people, you giving them the language
Yeah.
to get excited and like share their stories.
Right. But when
So
everybody tells the same story, like we're a third generation family owned sustainably farmed vineyard and we use new and neutral French oak barrels, like none of that stuck with me. I remember nothing that none of that is important or I guess it's important, but like when everyone is saying the same thing, like then everyone's the same and then no one stands out. And yeah, I just completely agree with you.
yeah, yeah. Like if a winery can put like slap their label on your story and have it be true for them, it is not a
Mm-mm.
unique story.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
So
exactly.
let's dig a little deeper here.
Yeah, and I think, like,
And
Tank has really, like, written the handbook on that of, like, fucking around and finding out and just,
yeah.
like, testing out things and, like, look how, like, excited and dedicated their fan base is and their customer base. Like, they're one of the few places in Napa that is, like, choosing to be risky and walking to the beat of their own drum, and, like, I just love it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah. It's so fucking cool.
yeah,
They're doing a really great job.
agreed.
Real big props to them.
Yes,
Oh man. Okay, well, I want to be respectful of your time, but I do have a few more questions that we
absolutely.
have going on here. And I kind of want to like pivot to sort of like the winery relationship with wine educators, wine communicators, wine
Yeah,
influencers. So, for you as a wine communicator,
mhm.
what are some of the biggest turnoffs when a winery reaches out to collaborate with you? Or
Mm,
alternatively, like what are the biggest turn ons? Like, what are the things that get you
mm.
really excited to work with a winery?
Okay, I'll start with turn-ons. It is really apparent if okay, so I'm, like, talking to wineries right now. Like, if you just reach out to somebody because they have, like, a following and you wanna, like, take advantage of their following and get your wine promoted, it's really easy if you're just sending out, like, a generic email. I think this goes for, like, any kind of business either. So,
hmm
what really means a lot to me is if somebody reaches out and they're like, "Hey, I followed you for a while," or, like, "I really love" the other day, someone reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, I just read, like, this report that you wrote on, like, the state of the industry and, like, consumption trends, and I found it so fascinating, and I really appreciated this insight. It would mean a lot to me, like, I'm reaching out, like, if you would be willing to, try my wines or something," and I get, like, me and, like, a lot of other, like, educators or journalists or whatever, we're bombarded with, like, requests. I'm like, "Please, will you try my wine and sample it and post about it?" Like, if I could pay my mortgage in wine, like, 100% I would say yes to everything and try everything and share it all, but I can't.
hmm
But it's those ones that feel, like, heartfelt and feels like there's a reason that you are reaching out to me, and it feels more personalized, like, that goes so much further. And on the note too of samples, like, I think it's important just for wineries to keep in mind, like, I think for a while and there is, like, a part of the industry where, you can send samples to journalists. They are paid by a publication. They have the ability to, like, use that wine in a future story or whatnot. But a lot of, like, especially content creators who want to talk about, like, influencer marketing, like, we make money by, like, working with wineries, and there's so many wineries that still think, like, I'm just going to exchange a bottle of wine for content. You don't think about, like, yes, maybe a video might be 1 minute long, but you don't realize, like, how many hours that takes to create,
hmm
and it really is a matter of, like, valuing people's time and energy, and, like, if I am working with a winery or with a partner, like, I'm committing to them. I would say there's a minimum of 8 hours that goes into, like, any one video that I post. That's, like, the back and forth communication with a brand. I'm doing copious amounts of research on that wine. I'm tasting it. I am, like, thinking through my talking points. I'm making sure that they're okay with it. You're thinking about the script or the caption, then you're editing it and fine-tuning it. There's so much that goes into it that it's like it's not just a opened my camera and I just filmed this and I popped it up online. Like, maybe some people can do that, but I think it's important to, like, if wineries are thinking about, like, working with educators and influencers, to really be intentional. Like, don't just do a mass outreach to everybody. Like, be intentional with a couple people that you want to work with, and you can be honest about, like, what your budget is, but be respectful of, like, our time as well, ideally.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. Like I think I get it from like a different perspective because
Hmm.
I market myself as a photographer. So like I'm not marketing myself as an influencer or creator.
Hmm.
Even though like to some people I would be those things.
Hmm.
And I think about this all the time because I'm like, why would I work for just wine? Like why would I not get paid for my services,
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
why am I expecting you or, an influencer that's reaching out to one of my clients, like why would I expect them to work just for like a free tasting and to put out a piece of content for that. And yeah, like I know that a lot of wineries don't have the budget to invest maybe a little bit more. And so maybe they want to work with like a smaller creator who is like
Totally.
just getting started. But yeah, I don't know. I just like, I think it's important for us to remember that like you as a winery, wineries wouldn't expect a photographer to spend an hour at the winery taking photos and then like editing those photos and then delivering those photos and, whatever. They
Right.
wouldn't expect them to do that for free or for
Totally.
like a couple bottles of wine. So
Yeah.
like, why are we expecting influencers, creators to
Totally.
do that? Like that,
Well,
yeah.
even if you
So
want like a critic to review your wine, you have to pay for it. Like
yeah,
you don't just send it to like James Suckling's team and be like, I hope that you'll write a nice review. Like you pay them for that. So
yeah.
why is it any different? I know that like, yeah, there's a lot of like trade stuff. And like obviously there's an exception to that. If you're like hosting people on a whole experience, it's educational, this, that, and the other. But agreed, like if you only have the budget to exchange like experiences and wine, then like there are people that you can absolutely do that for. Like when I was first starting out in this, I was so excited by like, oh my God, free wine, a free wine tasting, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But like, well, people that like this is their career or they've been doing it for much longer, just like you have so much experience and skill in your photography that like your rates reflect that. If somebody tries to discredit you and be like, no, I'm only willing to pay $500 for a photo shoot because that's all the budget I have. And it's like, okay, well then there's someone else that might be able to help you, but that's not going to be
Yeah.
me. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a matter of like, I don't know. I'm not trying to get like negative and angry over here because I totally understand both sides. But I've been on the small production side and
Yeah.
outreaching when you don't have a budget. But just being mindful of it. I think a lot of businesses are not aware of the like time and energy and work that goes into something creative, whether it's photography, whether it's content creation. There's so much work that goes into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Full stop. I totally agree. Okay. Well, then let's talk about like, so what we're past the like inquiry stage and all of that. So what makes a winery partnership work from
Mm.
your perspective as a creator?
Yeah. I think one of the best things that a winery or any business can do when you're working with a creator is let the creator do what works for them. Like if they have an audience because they talk about wine in a certain way or because they have a certain personality, let that shine. Let them take like their views about your wine, what makes you unique, and let them run with that and have creative freedom. Because when wineries or brands, a little bitter about this, when they come back and they're like, we have all of these talking points, or you must include this, or you must say this, or they like redline everything and it just is an ad. And I'm like, okay, well, then this is not going to perform. Like, I don't know why you
Yeah.
reach out to me. You love my like authentic approach to wine, but then you want me to talk about these specific things. Like, then like the magic of this is gone. I'll make that video for you. But it's really a matter of like trusting the content creator, like relinquishing control.
Mm-hmm.
And you obviously can't control like how something performs either. Like the algorithm has a mind of its own, but I think really just trusting the people that you're working with is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, totally.
That's
I
big.
totally agree.
And
Yeah.
just like with any partnership, with any client you work with, like pay on time. That's
Yes.
huge.
Please pay your bills.
Yeah. Yeah. And just a matter of like really, being willing to ask questions if you're confused about something. Or there's so many like wineries I've worked with where I'm the first creator they've worked with in a paid setting. And I'm always happy to like be patient and walk through things with them. But like want to make sure that like all expectations are met and there's no confusion. Like, yeah, just being willing to have like open communication and just being willing to have fun with it. Yeah. Doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be so serious and stressful.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I've only done the sort of like the influencer thing or like been on the influencer side of things like a couple of times. And
Mhm.
one of the brands that I will always work with anytime that they ask is Louis Jadot. And it's
Mhm.
because like one, like Louis Jadot was sort of like one of the wines that I learned wine on.
Yeah.
They're kind of like if you want to know like what a classic, like French Chardonnay is gonna taste like or whatever, like Louis Jadot is a great place to start.
Totally.
And so, so like I have fond memories of beginning my wine journey with them.
Yeah.
But also, whenever they reach out to me, they're like, "Hey, we know that you're not like an influencer per se. We really like the way that you present wine, in your photography, yada yada yada. Here's the outline of what we must have in our communications, but like otherwise, like
Free reign.
have at it. You have full creative freedom." And like, and I'll talk with them and like kind of figure out like, okay, like like, does this sound good to you, or does this sound better to you? And so and it's a collaborative process, and it's
Yes.
a really, it's such a nice way to work with a
Yeah, I
winery. Yeah.
agree. And it like Louis Jadot is agreed, such a wonderful example of just like letting people's unique creative ability shine and also understanding that like I think that's such a good point too, that like it is important to like spread out your marketing efforts across all different types of avenues, like whether it's someone that has like a large following or small, because like at the end of the day, like even if somebody has a large following or a video gets a lot of views, like doesn't necessarily translate to sales. Like a video could get like 100,000 views and maybe convert to like 10 sales, or a video could get
Hmm.
like 5,000 views and convert to like 100 sales. Like I
Yeah.
think it's really important to spread, plant little
Yeah.
seeds everywhere. Yeah, and I agree. Just letting people have creative freedom and something that when I worked at Maker and was on the other side, like working with influencers and creators, we worked with like a creative agency, and they
Hmm.
basically like sent the wines to like 5 different people, and basically it was like you make a video of like what is special to you, because we can tell you what we think like the most important things about this wine are. But it was so
Hmm.
fascinating to hear like, and then all the videos weren't the same. Like it was like, well, somebody thinks the single serving size is so fascinating, someone thinks the fact that like it ships for free once you hit 12 cans is fascinating, someone thinks the fact that you can take it with them on the go is so fascinating. And it's like you miss out on those things when you try to control the narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's exactly right. It's like you want to allow creators to find the thing that's valuable to them, because then that will also be the thing that's valuable to their audience and the people that they're reaching. And yeah, and if you're trying to control that narrative, you might as well just be reaching people yourself. Like you might as well just
Yeah,
be putting those talking points on your own page versus like
totally
reaching other people.
agreed.
Yeah, and I think, I just today I posted, I'm starting to do these like 5-minute Fridays, so it's like 5-minute tips that
Mm,
you can pay attention to, basically, or things that you can kind of give you some like quick wins in your
mm-hmm.
marketing. This week it's to pay attention to like how people are talking about you, so like what
Mm-hmm.
words they're using,
Mm-hmm.
what photos of your tasting room are more, like what parts of your tasting room are more likely to show up in photos
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff, and just like to pay attention to it. And then next week the idea is to like take what you learned this week and then implement it
Mm-hmm.
in your own marketing. And
Love
part of
that.
that is like you literally using the words that they're using in their
Mm-hmm.
reviews and in
Mm-hmm.
their posts about you and the posts that they're tagging you in, to like create content, because the way that they're talking about your wine is the way that they will also be receptive to you talking about your wine. So
Totally. I love
so
that.
like it just, that all kind of comes back to, the what you're talking about is like letting creators find the thing that's valuable to them
Yeah. I love
and
that.
talking
Such
about it.
important insight. Yeah. Yay. Oh, I need to tune into these
Oh,
five
it's
minute
so good. Yeah, they're
Fridays.
really fun. Yeah, yeah. 5-minute
Yay.
Fridays, they're the best. Yeah, and it's all on my Substack. If people are
Cool.
listening and they were interested,
Nice. Okay. Love Substack.
Substack. It's the best. Oh my gosh. I'm like trying to figure out, this is such a digression, but like I'm trying to figure out how I can get more people to like more wineries to get on Substack
Mm-hmm.
in a way that will like actually work for them and be, like fit with the platform, but also like work for them as a
Yeah.
winery. So yeah, I don't know, it's just something that I've been thinking about lately, because I'm
What are
like,
you, do some of your clients have Substacks currently?
my clients know. I think it could work for Foxen. Like I think that they have a voice that could be really valuable on Substack, where they can like kind of talk a little bit more deeply about like sort of the nerdy things of wine. And I think it could work for any winery, but I think that their audience in particular would be really receptive to that. So it's just a thought that I have, but I know that like I'm having, actually next week I'm going to be interviewing Dan
Petrosky?
Petrosky.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Masticon. He's
of
awesome.
Mastican, yeah, and because he has a Substack, but I think, and we're gonna kind of dig into this in that conversation, but like I think he's using it more as a kind of like personal branding
Mhm.
place
Mhm.
that also happens to talk about like his wines. And he has like a background in journalism, and so that like it makes sense. Like it kind
Yeah.
of tracks that he would
Yeah.
use like what is essentially a journalism platform
Absolutely.
to talk about his wine.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I know like Antica Terra, they have their own Substack, but I don't really know of any other wineries that are using it
Yeah, it's tricky
at
because
all.
if you're a smaller winery, you already, like, wear so many hats, you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people already struggle with, like, running their own social media accounts, and then you're like,
Yeah.
now to write a bunch of blog posts. And then if you're a larger winery, like, there's so many cooks in the kitchen and legal involved, like, we can and can't say, and then it's not authentic, so there's this, like, interesting middle ground that I completely agree, like, if it could be used as, like, a creative outlet for somebody, and, like, maybe social
Mhm.
media isn't quite your thing, but, like, you can, write a couple words about something that happened this week or an opinion that you have.
Mhm.
That's the other thing, man. I wish wineries were willing to be a little bit more, like, opinionated and polarizing. Like,
Yeah.
let's hear it. A lot of people are so
Yeah.
scared to, like, alienate customers, but when you take a stance for something, you actually end up attracting more people that
Mhm.
are aligned with you.
Yeah.
That's a whole tangent, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree. Yeah. I mean, I feel like Tablas Creek kind of does that. Like, Jason writes his blog every week, and I actually had a whole conversation with Jason. I was like, "Why didn't you choose Substack when you're like migrating
Mm,
your?" And he was like, "Well, we had reasons, and we really like this other platform a little bit better." Like I guess like my like position is like find something that works for you. It doesn't
yeah,
necessarily have to be Substack, but like some kind of, like I like Substack because I feel like it sort of blends the like social media aspect with this like blog and email
yeah,
list
yeah,
aspect. So
totally.
it's like sort of this like melding of these three things that
Mhm.
all these three things work. And so now they're all working together, and
Yeah,
it's like an easy one-stop shop almost.
totally.
But I forget what platform Tablas Creek moved to.
Mhm.
Yeah, but anyways, but I feel like he does a really good job of posting about kind of industry news and not necessarily hot takes, but they do touch on some kind of sensitive topics
Yeah.
occasionally, which is really
I
great.
wanna sign
So,
up for his where do I find this? His, like,
yeah,
news
if I think if you just type in like Tablas Creek blog,
okay,
it'll take you.
nice.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
blog.tablascreek.com.
Okay,
Wait,
cool.
is that right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you can subscribe. Yeah. I
Cool.
forget who's hosting this. I'll figure it out later. You guys don't need to listen to us waffling about this. Um, but yeah, I think that they do a really good job. Long story long, of like really like kind of threading that needle really nicely,
Yeah,
where they're touching on some of the sensitive things and the things that they have opinions on and all
yeah,
of that, while also like not going too hard in the paint. I guess is I don't know if
yeah,
that's the right.
yeah.
I think that's a basketball term. I don't watch basketball, so. But yeah, yeah, you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yes, absolutely.
But anyways, back to our discussion here. I've I've got like a couple more questions for you, and then we'll wrap this up. But like, how should wineries think about influencer marketing, creator partnerships in 2026 specifically and beyond?
Mhm.
Like, are we looking for ROI with these partnerships? Are we looking for more like awareness, something else entirely? What do you think?
Yeah, I think most importantly, wineries really need to be working with more creators or just getting creative in just their marketing in general. Like print, like advertising, is kind of dying. Like we're such a digital world now. And the really important thing about working with creators is you get to access their audience too. And like the way the algorithm's working now, like all these random things are showing up on our feeds from accounts like we don't even follow. And so you're just really like, you're able to just kind of like spread your reach a lot more. When it comes to ROI, it's really tricky because, again, it's so hard to track. I've worked with wineries to promote their wines at grocery stores. And, the video, I've had a couple where like the videos got over 1 million views. And I'm sure it led to like more sales at grocery stores, but there's not a way to directly track that if they're also doing
Yeah.
a push somewhere else on their like email list or if they're having a sale with a certain retailer. It can be really tricky to do that. Something else that like I'm having a lot of fun and success with is, are you familiar with like the mini chat integrations where you can like
Yeah.
comment blank and then that sets up the ability to like drive a specific link. So if done the right way, like I've had a lot of success with that with some clients on like actually converting to sales, but it has like all the things have to align. It has to be like, the barrier to entry has to be really low. It has to be like the right price. There has to be some kind of like time. What's the word I'm thinking about? Like you have to like encourage somebody to like act now. Like there has to be a
Mhm.
reason for
It
it.
has to be, like, urgency.
Yes, urgency,
Mhm.
yes, and the checkout process has to be easy, like, all of those things, so I know that is, like, kind of a limitation for some wineries still,
Mhm.
but I think it's also about here's the other thing that's so important. Okay, when I work with, a winery or, like, a business of any kind, like, we were talking about how I only work with brands that, like, I align with, that trust element is so important to me. That partnership this is why ROI is so tricky. That partnership goes so much further because if someone's willing to invest in me, I'm gonna invest right back in them, and
Yeah.
so say, like, Food& and Wine reached out to me, and they're like, "Hey, can you help put a list together of, like, the top 10 red wines you would buy at a grocery store?" Well, immediately I'm thinking about all those wineries that I partnered with. Those are top of mind. And I'm like,
Mhm.
here's additional exposure for you. Like,
Mhm.
amazing. And then that ends up like, snowballing, or then I like recommend that wine to somebody else down the road or whatnot. Like, you can't track that ROI. But I think
Yeah.
that's why it's so important to just kind of like spread the feelers out as well, plant a lot of seeds. I'm trying to think. I think it is important. There's so many ways you can do it with like whatever budget that you have. You can get
Mhm.
creative. But yeah, I think it's really important. If you're not
Yeah.
already doing that, if you don't already have a social media presence, like it is more important now than ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, totally agree. Preaching to the choir right
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Um, I totally agree, and I think it's like just so important to build relationships with the creators that you're working with. Like,
Yeah.
don't just like work with a creator once, like work with them multiple times, because then you have not only do you have this trust factor between you and the creator, but then like the creator's audience is seeing that like, hey,
Yeah.
this creator is like coming back to this winery over and over and over again, and there's something
I agree.
like people need to see something 8 times before they'll take action on it, and so it's like, if you can invest in working with a creator 8 times,
Yeah.
then
It's huge.
you are gonna be just so much more successful than
Yeah.
you would be if you worked with them once.
Completely agree.
And of course, like, again, like, we're a lot of the listeners of this podcast are small wineries that don't have, like, huge budgets and things like that, but, like, if you can find a way to, like, allocate, like, a couple $100 a month to, like, doing that, that's gonna be better than nothing,
Yeah.
and really just, like, creating a hit list of creators who align with your values, and you know that, like, maybe they already drink your wine because you've seen them on their social medias, they're already drinking your wine, so
Yeah.
they already have, like, a
Already a
connection to
fan.
you.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah, and
Well,
I and I
something
I mean, like, I think that's why, like, Louis Jadot reached out to me
Mhm.
in the first place is because, like, I follow them and I interact with them and I drink their wine, like, just on my own buck,
Totally.
and so they were like, "You already do these things.
Yes.
Here is money to do it
That is
even more," so, like,
huge. Yeah, like,
it just
invest in the
yeah.
people that are already, like, naturally excited about you and promoting you, talking about you. The other thing you can do, too, if you don't have, like, a big budget to work with is, like, it doesn't just have to be a post that lives on a creator's feed. You can work with them to create UGC, user-generated content, and
Mhm.
and there's so many creators I know that work specifically with wineries on posts that aren't ever gonna live on their feed, but that will be used for ads, and then you can, like, put, like, a couple $100 or not even, like, a couple hundred, but, like, put $100 behind the ad, and that gets
Mhm.
boosted to more people, and then that gets, like, even more reach, and you're targeting the right audience. The possibilities are endless here,
Really is.
especially if you have a limited budget, like, you can get really creative. Yeah, I totally agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, and then, like, like, e every dollar that you can attribute to that ad that you ran or, like, that partnership that you did, like, "Hey, like, because we partnered with Warner on selling our Chenin Blanc, we saw an increase of, like, X percentage in our Chenin Blanc sales this
Mhm,
month. Well, we're gonna take, like, 10% of that revenue that we brought in from those Chenin Blanc sales that we wouldn't have had without working with Warner
mhm.
and put it towards working with her again."
Yeah, gotta spend money to make money sometimes. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
just like really investing your time and energy and resources into these relationships is just like it's just so fucking important.
Yeah. And the
So
last thing I'll
yeah.
say on that too, like not to take business away from me or from other people in this space is like I actually think it's really important that businesses work with creators outside of their own niche
Hmm.
because you're more likely to get somebody to say yes for free a lot of times if they're not.
Yeah.
For example, like I get offers for wine samples all the time. Office, which if I angle it this way, you'll see it's like exploding with wine. Like I don't need any more wine, right? But a makeup brand reached out to me and was like, "Hey, can we send you product?" And I was like, "100%." Like I never get offered makeup, and then I just like naturally posted about it on my feed, and I made a video about it. I think you commented on it too, but it was
Hmm.
like, "I'm posting about this makeup brand for free." I normally would charge like a wine brand my normal rate for this, which would be a lot more expensive than free. But it's so important that like don't just work with wine creators. If you are a winery, like work with like food people or travel people or like you can get creative and interesting, like even just like moms or whatnot. And a lot of times people will be willing, like people get so excited about wine because wine is expensive and they're like free wine. Yes, sign me up. So
Hmm.
branch out
Yeah.
of wine creators too. Like work with us, yes, but also like it's
Yeah.
important to branch out.
No, I totally agree. Yeah. Foxen worked with a couple of food creators. Like one of them was like a gluten-free,
Cool.
like he has celiac.
Yeah.
And so he's gluten-free. And so all of the recipes that he makes are gluten-free. And so we sent him some bottles to like
So smart.
work with the recipes that
Awesome.
he's creating. And that was really great because then we're getting access to this like hyper niche group of people who are
Totally.
like, like we can't consume gluten, but like we can have your wine because it's
Yeah.
gluten, like it's just really, it was
Well, and
really
he's
nice. And
probably
then,
rarely posting about wine, and so that makes your brand stand
mhm,
out significantly. Because if he's posting about, like, gluten-free brands all the time, it's easy for that to get lost in the mix, but that one wine is completely gonna stand out to those followers, be like, "Oh,
totally.
yeah." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that was another case that like we worked with him like every other month, basically. Like we did 6 videos, I
Cool.
believe, with him.
Wow.
And then we worked with another guy, kind of like a similar situation, but he wasn't, his niche was a little bit broader.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, again, like working with him over time and kind of going back to that conversation about like the building this relationship with this
Yeah.
creator constantly.
Yeah.
And that was just really great. And then like, how do you feel about like collaborative posts? Just, this is like a little bit of a tangent,
Yeah.
but
I'm on board with them. I don't have any problem with doing them. Have you gotten some pushback?
no, I'm just like, I'm really curious. I feel like people aren't using them strategically enough. And I feel
Mm.
like if they did, it would just land so much, especially like if you're working with a creator who's gonna like the plan is for them to post it on their account
Mhm.
anyways. It's like,
Mhm.
well, like, why not have them
Yeah.
do a collaborative post with you and invite you to be a collaborator? And then that way you get like, more eyes on it. And
Right.
then you also have this like fun content that your existing audience gets to discover this other person. So it's like kind of
It's a
mutually
win-win.
beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah, almost every, like, winery partner that I work with now, prefers I always ask them, like, "Do you want the collaborator setting turned on?" And, like, I don't think anyone's ever said no to it. Some
Yeah.
people will, like,
It's so smart.
specifically outright ask for it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's such low hanging fruit too.
Totally.
Cause
Yeah,
then you're
yeah.
just like, well, great. Now I don't have to like create
Yeah,
this post myself?
exactly. I think one other thing I thought about, like, trying to track ROI for posts, like, you can get creative with, like, a custom discount code. So say,
Hmm.
like, a winery is working with me, that they can make, like, use code Uncorked at checkout, and then you can track that and see, like, what converted.
Hmm.
But something that's really important that's a big factor for me in working with, a winery, especially if they want some kind of conversion, is, like, what are the barriers to entry, right? Like,
Hmm.
if it's a wine that can be found in a grocery store,
Hmm.
that's ideally, you're gonna have the most success rate if I drive people that way.
Hmm.
It depends what your goals are. If you want sales, like, what is the most approachable way you can get people to buy your product? Because if they buy your wine at a grocery store and they find out they like it, well, then it's a lot easier to, like, have them come visit you when they go out to wine country or, like, it is so hard to get people to buy wine online from a winery because it's so
Hmm.
expensive, you've got shipping costs, there's
The
just a
shipping
lot going
costs.
on,
Yeah.
and so if you're really wanting, like, a successful campaign with a creator, like, you have to be willing to lower that barrier to entry, right? So maybe that's,
Hmm.
like, for a limited time, like, you have to offer free shipping or something, like, just
Hmm.
you're really trying it is a marketing expense, right? You're trying to get wine in
Yeah.
people's hands, but that's really important to me. Like, there's a lot of times that, like, these ultra, ultra small wineries wanna work with me and they have, like, a great budget, but I'm like, if my audience can't can't and won't buy this wine, it's not
Mhm.
serving them. So, like, I can't
Yeah.
accept this partnership.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel like I don't know about you, but, like, I would really love if instead of offering me, like, a discount on wine, if they just, like, did shipping included, as and
Huge.
that was the promotion, like, that was like, "Hey, like, enter code Uncorked and you get shipping included, or you get $1 shipping." Because then, as you said, that lowers the barrier of entry.
Yeah.
You know, it's costs the same to ship 1 bottle as it does to ship 3 bottles.
Mhm.
And so if you can, like, save somebody, like, the $18 or like $14 or whatever it is to, like, ship
Really?
around
Yeah.
a single bottle of wine, then, if you are one of those winery that maybe doesn't have, like, a wholesale option,
Right.
then, 1, you can track those sales more
Mhm.
directly, like, so you can track the ROI, and then you can also get more people interested in, like, buying your brand.
Yeah.
Um,
And you get them on your email list, and it's so much easier to get, like, an additional sale from an existing customer than trying to get a
mhm.
new one. So, like,
Yeah.
yeah, lower that barrier to entry, get people in the door, and then they're more likely to purchase from you again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time, big time.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I think that that's, a really great place for us to kinda, like, pause this
Yeah.
conversation. I'd love to talk to you again because I feel like we could just go on and on
I
and
know
on.
we can yap all day.
We can, yeah. Well, I always like to finish these podcasts with, like, what is one actionable thing that our listeners can implement today that's kind of related to what we were talking about?
Okay, I don't know if this is directly related, but something that I think is so important that a lot of wineries and businesses on social media do not prioritize that will help so much is prioritize your bio, like on
Mhm.
Instagram.
Yeah.
That is people's first impression of you, and I think that's such an easy, actionable, like, talk about a 5-minute Friday. It is Friday,
Mhm.
and this is a 5-minute thing you can do. It's so important to, like, you give, like, 1 sentence on, like, who you are, but it's really important to share, like, what value you provide to people as well. So, for example, like, I don't just put on my bio, like, "I'm Warner, I'm a sommelier, I live in Sonoma." I'm like, "I help you feel more confident about wine," so someone immediately sees, like, "Okay, this is what I get from you." So if you're a winery, it's like you can share how it's like, family friendly, dog friendly, I don't know, small production wine on beautiful patio, whatever. Like what can somebody get from you? I think that's really important, like putting where you're located. I think a lot of wineries I look at, and I know that you see this all the time too, it's just
Yes.
like there's one sentence there and it's like, what is this doing? What is this serving? Who are you?
Yeah.
It's just really someone's first impression. And I think even if you just look up like on Instagram, like there's so many creators that share examples and like give you fine tuning things. Just spend like 5 minutes on fine
Yeah.
tuning your bio, and you will see that there's like a big
Yeah.
payoff for that.
I totally agree. Yeah, I like that's one of the first things I do when I do like a profile audit
Mhm.
for people is, like, I look at their bio and I'm like, "We need to fix this because like,
Yes.
it's always like one line and it's, like, full of, like, hyper specific wine
Yeah.
jargon that
Yeah.
means nothing. Like, it's like talking to, like, a finance bro and he's, like, using all this, like, corporate lingo
Yeah.
and you're just like, "That means nothing to me."
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, like, bespoke terroir-driven wines means nothing. Like, what kind of wine do you make? Do you make or, like, where are you located? Like, how
Yeah.
can I visit you? How can
Yes.
like, are you only
Exactly.
available online? Like,
Right.
can I buy your wine in a store? Like, what
Yeah.
what do you want me to do even? Like,
Yes.
at the bare minimum, like, add a call to action to
Completely
your
agree.
bio. Be
Completely
like, "Buy
agree.
our wine online here," or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"Here's
Exactly.
a code for 10% if you join our email list." Like, just, like, something, something to yeah.
Totally.
That's such a great I will be doing a 5-minute Friday deep dive
Perfect.
into,
Oh
like, how
yeah.
to build a really good bio.
I think
I
that's so
love that.
important. Yeah. Good question.
Okay, Warner, how can people follow you, talk to you, work with you? And is there anything that you wanna, like, plug or talk about?
Yeah. Oh, thanks for asking that. Okay, so best place to follow me, Instagram or TikTok. I'm a little bit more active on Instagram. I think it's more conducive to like community. Um, would be just at Confidence Uncorked. My email is also there if you're interested in working with me. Offer like social media consulting as well. And if you are a consumer listening to this, I also asked people, got a lot of feedback on like what questions people have about wine and how they want to feel more confident, and I put together like a really awesome guide of just like a lot of stuff I've learned over the past 10 years that have helped me feel more confident about wine. It's kind of like my brain in a guide, so that's available like linked in my bio as well or on my website. But yeah, I would say Instagram is the most fun place to connect with me.
Awesome. Well, I will put all of that in the show notes so you guys can
Thank
easily
you.
find how to connect with Warner and get your hands on this amazing guide. I feel like it would also be valuable for wineries to invest in that guide so that they know how to communicate with their
Yeah.
potentially new wine drinkers who are trying to just like navigate this whole world that they've entered.
Agreed. Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that.
I love it. Okay, well, that's it for this episode of the Wine Marketing Podcast. If you like this episode, share it with a friend, please, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you haven't done so already, please rate and review the show wherever you listen. It really, really, really helps. Thank you so much. Stay awesome, Warner. You're amazing. I'll talk to you soon.
Exciting too. Bye bye.
Bye.